Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about A.K. Ramanujan's poem of Mothers Among Other Things. Myself, Dhanyashri CM, Assistant Professor, Government First Grade College, Vijayanagar, Bangalore. A.K. Ramanujan, an Indian poet and scholar of Indian literature who wrote both in English and Kannada. He was a poet, scholar, psychologist, folklorist, translator, and a playwright. His academic research ranged across 5 languages: English, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, and Sanskrit. Though he wrote in number of genres, his poems are well remembered as enigmatic works of startling originality, sophistication, and moving artistry. He was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award posthumously in 1999 for his collection of poems, The Selected Poems. He was educated in English at the University of Mysore, and he received his PhD in linguistics from Indiana University. He taught at various US universities also. In 1976, the government of India awarded him the Padma Shri, and in 1983, he was given the MacArthur Prize Fellowship. Of Mothers Among Other Things is a poem where A.K. Ramanujan talks about, actually, he remembers about his mother, and he creates a vivid picture of his mother in this poem using images and words that evoke the senses and contrast her youth with her present state. The first section of the poem portrays her in the youth, and the second section deals with her middle age, and the final section describes her old age. First, let us read the poem. I smell upon this twisted blackbone tree the silk and white petal of my mother's youth. From her earrings, 3 diamonds splash a handful of needles, and I see my mother run back from rain to the crying cradles. The rains tack and sew with broken thread the rags of the tree tasseled light, but her hands are a wet eagle's 2 black pink crinkled feet, one talon crippled in a garden trap set for a mouse. Her sari do not cling, they hang loose feather of a one-time wing. My cold parchment tongue licks bark in the mouth when I see her four still sensible fingers slowly flex to pick a grain of rice from the kitchen floor. In the first section of the poem, the poet talks about a twisted blackbone tree that evokes in the poet an image of his mother when she was young. The word twisted suggests that the tree is now old, like his mother, and was probably tended by her when it was a young tree. Her youth is compared to silk and a white petal, both of which are soft and tender and exactly opposite to the old and rough, twisted blackbone tree. The sparkle of the diamond studded in her earring is compared to needles being splashed. The metaphor picture mother as a beautiful, bright, and lively like the splashes of light of the diamonds. He can recall his mother full of energy running from the rain, probably engaged in some work to the cradles to tend to her children. The rain is a pictured as sieving loosely with its lengthy drops the tasseled blackbone tree. The rain symbolizes difficulties in life that try to stitch in and contain one's energy and enthusiasm in life, yet his mother faced them resolutely. This is indicated by the comparison of her um, the rough hands to an eagle's black pink crinkled feet with talons that are effective and precise. In the next section, he continues with the comparison but introduces a shift in mother's abilities. One of her fingers has been crippled by a rat trap, a handicap indicating lessening of efficiency as she got older. The next line shows that the vagaries of life and motherhood have had their effect on her as middle aged woman. This is pointed out by the statement that her saris do not cling to her, instead, they hang loose. She has become thin and weak, denoted by the metaphor loose feather of a one time wing. And in the next section, he talks about the experiences that um, he, I mean, the poet's mother gone through, experiences that she has gone through, and the final stanza begins with the poet stating that he experiences a feeling that of the incomprehensible motherness of his mother, even in her old age, when she sees her slowing, moving her four still sensible fingers to pick a grain of rice from the kitchen floor. This shows that she is still mentally agile, though physically weakened, and is in charge of the affairs of the house. And we can say that the twisted blackbone tree, that he project the rough bark of the tree, weathered with time, but at the same time the life and all that a tree witnessed over its lifetime. It stands still and sees all that happens around it silently and continues to do its own bit, never complaining, only seeing. So is the situation of a lady, particularly in the Indian system of things. The tree of the Indian woman, which could have flourished into a beauty, has been twisted and hurt over and over again, to the extent that it is left with nothing but only its sense of duty and responsibility. We can also say that it was excellent exception that the summary, I mean, the poem talks about the comparison to the eagle, where if one reads the second stanza of the poem, their references to the eagle, they hang loose feather of a one-time wing. We can see a reference of the sari hang loose like a loosened feather of the eagle's wing. And one more instance, one tail in crippled. Here, the mother has suffered an injury while working for her family. In the same manner, the eagle suffers injuries while arranging food for her young ones. And we can also say that the poet feels numb and helpless as he sees his mother, now old and frail, trying to pick up the grain of rice with great difficulty. His mouth is dry, parched, and he feels like licking a bark. This shows how that he wants to overcome his emotion. Okay, and I would like to add that uh, through these lines, the poet is expressing maybe his guilt that he took his mothers for granted, as almost all children do. Even the title of Mothers, among other things, suggests that we consider our mothers as ordinary and the other things in life. But when the poet sees the old age and his frail mother bend down to pick up a grain of rice, despite her injured finger, he's, I mean, overcome by his guilt and sorrow. I think the rain is personified as a tailor who in vain tries to stitch rages with the broken threads, and it is also used as a metaphor standing for mother, who is the uh, cementing factor trying to keep family intact without getting fragmented, by stitching the holes and cementing the tracks by acting as a unifying factor. Thank you.